Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the L1 show. Today, if you're in the United States, is Election Day. It's November 8th. And in honor of that, we're doing a government, was it security?
Get out there and vote. Unless you don't understand what's going on in the world, then don't vote. They always say everybody should vote. Not true.
You ever, I find it's a lot easier to vote now because you can like look up the candidate on your phone and like read their platform before you start.
I bet they hate that.
Yeah.
Also, we debated on whether or not to do this without Wendell because he's traveling and he wasn't sure when he was going to be back. He's like, yeah, okay, but make sure you tell everybody I'm not dead, which is like, I don't think we'd be doing this if he was dead.
No, maybe not. Yeah.
I don't know if we really needed to tell us that. But just in case any of you are worried, he's not dead.
He's not dead. He's traveling. So.
He's actually, his health seems to be improving. So
yeah.
That's hopeful.
Also, we got a box from Techie Satva, which some of you may remember, either from the forums or they won the Minecraft competition. They've been finalists multiple times. They sent us a box of nuts.
Now, he put, you know, this might have been a brilliant move on Techie Satva's part to get some free advertising, but he put the Wolfie's nut logo.
Yeah, it's on the box, too.
But it's also on the paper. So I'm thinking that he probably wouldn't have gone to that trouble unless he's associated with Wolfie's nuts somehow.
Crunchy bacon jam.
That is a weird
flavor
of nut.
Crunchy beer nuggets.
That doesn't sound all that delicious.
Trying not to get it in the mic, but crunchy mixed nuts. Crunchy cashews and crunchy original peanuts.
Aren't all nuts crunchy?
Yes, they're flavor infused crunchy. I don't know what crunchy means though.
I mean, nuts inherently are crunchy.
Ingredients: peanuts, cashews, almonds, blah, blah, blah. Water, wheat flour, pure cane sugar, salt, soy sauce.
Salty
and
and
preservative,
sweet.
Yeah.
So it's, if Techie Satva is in fact associated with Wolfie's nuts, that means we have Read More Dimension who farms the nuts, and now we got Techie Satva who flavors and packages the nuts.
So this is the bacon jam is cane sugar, salt, soy sauce, sugar, roasted red peppers, jalapeno peppers, water bacon.
Water bacon?
Water type. Yeah. I don't know. It's water bacon. Cured with water, salt, sugar, some sort of preservative.
So it actually has bacon in it.
Dextrose flavoring honey. Dehydrated pork broth.
Oh, exciting.
I wonder how you do that.
So thank you, Techie Satva.
Yeah.
We'll check out those nuts. And I can't have very many of them because of the stones. Wendell, we're not sure what his dietary restrictions are right now. So, Chrissy, you might be...
Maybe we'll save a batch for the nonsense section when it's closer to the time for you to eat, and you can try some too.
I don't think we should ever eat in the microphone.
Yeah, people don't like that. So our editor, one of our editors, announced that we had gotten these on the Twitter account, and someone was like, "Please don't eat them into the microphone."
I was watching, somebody shared an AOC tweet where she was, you know, just like doing her crap with Elon Musk. And she was picking apart a chicken tender and eating while she talked.
In the mic?
Oh, I was so angry at that. But anyway, I'm not angry at Techie Satva. Thank you, Techie Satva. Of course, we know Techie Satva from the Twitch stream and he's been heavily involved.
Yeah, he's on the Minecraft server every year.
We love him. And not just because of his nuts.
Also the Mushroom House.
Oh, he was the Mushroom House? Wow, he really pandered to you in a lot of ways.
He really did, yeah.
He knows how to pull our strings, Techie Satva. He might be... CIA or Mossad or something. Well, let's talk about some government news. And this is an interesting one right before the election. I feel like it might have a little motivation there because there's definitely, some partisan, one side of the aisle wants this more than the other. But everybody, I think, is a little suspicious of old TikTok.
FCC commissioner says government should ban TikTok. So this is where my mind went. I was like, oh, does he have some sort of connection to like Facebook or some other social media company? And the answer is no. He was a lawyer
that we know of.
Yeah.
But yeah, he is a Republican, and he's been very critical of all social media, particularly anything to do with China, obviously. And he's saying that from what we've learned about TikTok, why should we ever have it? Now, the other social media companies do absolutely love this.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's why I assumed. I was like, oh, maybe he worked for one of them, but no, he worked in law prior to getting into government and, under Ajit Pai.
Their stocks did increase immediately as he announced that. Now, he does not have the authority to do anything himself, But the last time he suggested that the government do something was Huawei, and they did.
Maybe
So.
there's part of me that thinks that would probably be a net good, but I feel like people would be very, very angry if they couldn't use TikTok.
The people who don't care about this kind of thing and are just enjoying their addiction
Yeah.
of TikTok they would be very upset about that.
I have to admit I would be upset for multiple reasons if they got rid of YouTube, if like something like that came down to that.
Oh my God, that's all my entertainment.
Yeah.
Plus, it's this. So that'd be upsetting.
Income and entertainment.
But as far as we know, YouTube doesn't leak everything to the Chinese government.
Maybe unintentionally, but yeah.
Or intentionally. We just don't know about it yet. Who knows? But we'll see. See what happens with TikTok. Now, this one is a contentious story because I read a couple of opposite viewpoints here where they're like, no, we already knew about all of this. This is nothing new. This
There's
is
another
just-"
one later in a different section that refers to this article.
which I think I remember to cut.
Oh, okay.
Maybe not. If we do twice, it's fine. Anyway, yeah, some people are saying this is real. Some people saying that, well, they didn't really say it was fake. They just said it's like no big deal. It seems like there was a lot of spin on both sides of this.
Yeah. Truth cops leaked documents outline DHS's plans to police disinformation. What is disinformation?
They decide.
Yeah.
Now,
That's the TLDRs. Yeah. They decide what it is.
this is a really long one, and it boils down to ultimately our homeland security, which ballooned into a massive, massive dragnet under, all the war on terror stuff in the turn of the century and beyond.
I lived through that. Yeah.
I did too. Yeah. Amazing. They're no longer fighting terror. War on terror is kind of over for good or for ill. And now they've pivoted into spying on American citizens. And a big way that they're doing that is, of course, social media and trying to not just monitor social media. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely happening on every platform.
we know that all social media is monitored. That's not at debate here. But what is whether or not they have the ability to stifle speech and control the narrative on social media. Now, we know that Facebook gave them a portal because Zuckerberg admitted that to Joe Rogan. And we've also seen some proof in some other places. We're probably going to find out what was going on in Twitter pretty soon.
Yeah.
But some of that stuff we did already know. Maybe this is not like a smoking gun. However, even if it's not new information, it's good information to have, I think.
Yeah. I don't know that anyone is going to see this and care, except for,
I care.
well, yeah, we care, but like, we don't have any power. So,
Also, mostly don't use their stuff because of that reason and a number of other reasons. I mean, I do have Twitter, but I would never tweet anything that would label me as something.
oh, you did though.
What did I tweet?
You said that McConnell should go to Taiwan next.
I said McConnell and Pelosi should both die.
Yeah, so that won't label you as anything though.
Well, anti-government, I'm fine with.
Okay.
I'll wear that one, but I don't want to get into the partisan stuff.
Yeah.
It's a
That's fair.
If we want to talk
That's
about
fair.
tearing down the government, I'll talk about that. But if you want to talk about like this side is the savior, no, that's not true. Neither of them are the savior. They must both be destroyed.
Flagged.
Demonetized. You can go ahead and curse freely for the rest of the episode.
Oh, fantastic.
And the White House has, they've decided that ransomware is a big problem. It took them a couple of years, but they've decided. And actually, they did this once before, but because of the thing in the last 2 years, they weren't able to do it in person. This time, all these beautiful countries will come together and hold hands and talk about ransomware.
Oh, White House invites dozens of nations for ransomware summit. What an exciting conference to go to if you're someone from a different country.
All the big alphabet agencies will be there. And then this giant list of countries right here. We don't need to itemize those. But some interesting names in there. Nigeria. It's good to see Nigeria at the table.
Korea, Saudi Arabia, United Kingdom.
Sure, they'll solve that problem.
They're just going to eat on taxpayer dollars, aren't they?
It's going to be really expensive.
Yeah,
food, too.
steaks.
Probably alcohol, hotel rooms.
Not for the Saudis, though. They wouldn't drink.
Yeah, they might when they're out of the country. Nobody's looking. Well, the right to repair, that's a big battleground right now in the government. And the federal government doesn't look like they're going to do a whole lot. They did some sort of lip service for it. there a while back, but it seems like it's going to be a state by state thing, kind of like net neutrality boiled down to. And New York loves to be first.
New York could become first state with a right to repair law for electronic devices. So I could have sworn it was like Maine or New Hampshire or Vermont had already codified this into law a few months ago.
I don't think
But maybe it wasn't electronic devices.
it was. Yeah, I think theirs were more generic.
Okay.
And these are, specifically all of our gadgets. Now, they did say at the end, obviously, when this started to get some heat behind it, you know who showed up?
Yeah.
All the big companies. And they
We
started
can't do that.
lobbying hard. So now it's going to the governor for signature or veto. But the person who brought the bill has described it as a David versus Goliath battle.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
If,
Kind of an ominous ending to the article as well.
Yeah, so it probably is going to get that's Kathy Hochul will have to make that decision. So if it doesn't happen, we know exactly who to blame: Amazon, Apple, Facebook, and Kathy Hochul. Microsoft. I'm leaving people out, but I don't mean to. And Chegg, a terrible name, don't you think?
Yeah.
I don't like that name. I should think about renaming. But they were a remote learning, homework help type of deal companies. They're going to help your kids out if they're dumb. And they captured a lot of data and they didn't really take care of it.
Multiple data breaches suggest edtech company Chegg didn't do its homework, alleges FTC. This is from the Federal Trade Commission website, and there's some editor who was really thrilled to write that headline.
So, yes, the FTC is self-referencing here, but they do point out a pretty damning case. Most of this was S3 storage through phishing, but they recorded an astonishing amount of stuff about their students, including religious affiliations and race and stuff like that, which I didn't think was even allowed, right?
I don't see why they would need that if it's just a tutoring program.
Direct deposit payroll information in one of the attacks. And they just kept getting phished over and over. And the same thing kept happening. So the FTC is now saying, listen, you're clearly not taking this seriously. Your S3 bucket didn't have two-factor after the first hack.
Ooh.
Come on, bro. So I'm sure they'll bankrupt and rename under a brand name.
And then they'll have the same thing happen, and the FTC will say, stop that. And they'll keep doing it.
Now, we have crappy internet in the rural areas. We live in the rural areas. Krista has just moved to a rural area, and she can't get the sweet, sweet fiber that Wendell and I have.
But I have pretty decent internet for where I am. But it ends literally right past our house. But
You were lucky to get that.
yeah.
And it seems like whenever a lot of money is handed out for broadband stuff, they always go to higher density populations, right?
Right.
Because it looks better if you help a higher number of people. But
Our number of
thankfully,
voters.
well, yeah, for sure. Thankfully, we have the farm people, the agriculture department. That's right. The agriculture department is getting into giving away internet.
Rural areas to get $759 million in grants for high-speed internet.
So the agriculture department is going to put this money in places that are mostly agrarian. They want the farmers and the ranchers to be able to get high-speed internet, even if they have a low population density.
It would be nice. I do wonder if that will actually affect us that much because they probably just won't bother running it into the hollers. We'll see.
I mean, AT&T is pulling the copper out. So I don't know. It's only a certain, only in 24 states and only 49 ISPs. So it's not a huge outreach, but it's something, right?
Yeah, it is better than nothing. Rural America deserves this. It does in 2022, considering how vital the internet is to doing anything anymore.
And how more and more vital it seems that farming is going to become
Yeah.
as things
To
darken.
entice people to move out to the country.
Oh, you know what? I think I missorted because there's another story
Is there? Oh, I know which one you're talking about.
about, and we'll get to it.
We'll get to
just keep that story in your mind. But first, let's talk about New Hampshire. Now, of course, today is election day for you. And something tells me, now you might call me crazy, Krista, but something tells me that this election the results might be contested.
I feel like that's going to be true for every election ever.
It's from now till the end of time.
Yeah.
Was it Brazil?
Yeah.
They just had the same thing happen.
Yeah.
And, it got a little crazier than ours. The last election, I mean. So New Hampshire is saying that one of the big conspiracy theories, now the record.media does label it a conspiracy theory. I don't know how conspiracy theory it is. I think the DEFCON people have proven it beyond a shadow of a doubt. But they're not looking at that. They're just looking at the mainstream articles. And they're saying that these conspiracy theories about the voting machines must be put to a stop. And there's one good way to do that.
New Hampshire set to pilot voting machines that use software everyone can see.
So,
okay.
Open source software. These things are going to run open source. You can download it. You can look at it. And what'll happen is you'll take your vote on paper, you feed it in the machine will count the vote, and then you can somehow confirm the vote against your choices. On the pilot program, they're not actually going to use the machine to count the votes. They're going to count the paper later and then compare the two to make sure that they match. It's a very small number.
Yeah.
But
let's hope it works.
They point out in this article there are 3 companies, or maybe 4, that run all the voting machines. They're all black box. No one has ever been allowed to look at the inside of their machines, even through all the lawsuits after the last election.
Wow.
Which seems wrong.
Yeah, you'd think there probably is some oversight somewhere, I would hope.
I mean, we've been having this argument since the hanging Chad, which was...
Oh, yeah.
That was in the 90s, wasn't it?
It was early 2000s, because that election happened. There was all the controversy about the hanging Chad, and then 9/11 happened.
Okay.
And I remember everyone being like, how would Al Gore have handled this if it had been the other way? Like,
he would have wet his pants and curled into the fetal position. But,
to be fair, I think anyone would have. I would have, certainly, if I was the
not
president.
George Bush. He read to children.
I love the Photoshop of that, where the book's upside down.
And we have been really limiting China's access to chips. It seems like it is having a bit of an effect. They're not loving it. And, we've been limiting Russia's chips. We've been buying China's chips, which we found out are garbage. So they want the chips. We don't want them to have them. And we don't even want them to have them from other people.
U.S. pushes Japan and other allies to join China chip curbs. China chip curbs. It's a satisfying sentence.
Maybe we should work that in the title somehow. So yeah, they're saying to Japan, hey, don't sell China any more chips. And Japan's like, wow, we're not sure if that benefits us or not.
Well, Japan might be like, well, there's been enough missiles going over here that maybe we should just do it.
You think they'll stop the missiles?
No, but they might want to stay on our good side right now too.
Now, we've been following the Ring surveillance network story, and it just gets worse and worse.
Yeah.
What we know now is that the police can access these things, and I think it's opted in by default. Also, the police are resellers of this, and they get benefits when they can sell rings. They're basically an affiliate team for the Ring Club. Now we see more and more actual police agencies joining up so that they have immediate access to all of this.
The NYPD has joined Amazon's Ring's neighbor surveillance network. That is the most dystopian. Ugh. Why would anyone want a Ring at this point after headline after headline like this?
I think NYPD is important here because in New York, maybe you would want one because crime is just rampant in New York right now. It is a disaster.
Well, do you take your Ring to the police who aren't going to do anything about it?
Well, that's a good question. I
So it's like, why bother?
if you're not going to prosecute,
Yeah.
maybe for insurance claims. But yeah, they're going to be able to go in there and look at your Ring videos and investigate crimes and so forth. If you've got a Ring on your door, you are part of the problem. And I know some of you do. Now we have, it's interesting because now that the whole Twitter thing is happening, that we're seeing more and more people allowed back into the conversation.
Right.
The bans are being taken down, but the Twitter bans themselves, we're going to have to wait a little longer. And the scary thing about that is it wasn't just the software giants who were banning people. They were trying to bake this into law. Now, it's not necessarily in law, but it shows you that the police have so much power in terms of what they can arrest you for and what they can charge you for. It might as well be.
The Babylon Bee joins the Onion in decrying an Ohio law that makes parody a felony. So this particular case, this guy he was running a fake Facebook page that was clearly a parody of the local police department. And they didn't like that. And they investigated his entire home, raided everything, etc., etc.
They liked it very, very little. Now, weren't able to find anything in his home. They didn't find anything incriminating. So what they went with was this law that says that if you are somehow disrupting police work, they'll use this one a lot too if you're filming them while they're doing something. And they said because he put the official phone number on the parody site, that people were calling the police department. I don't know how many people called. And that was disrupting police work. So,
I'm surprised they didn't go with impersonating a police officer.
Yeah.
Because you could maybe make an argument for that.
They might have baked a little bit of that into it because that was another complaint they had is he did not make it obvious enough
That it was parody.
that it was a parody. So they got him. I think they arrested him and the prosecutor decided not to prosecute her. He didn't get convicted of it. And so he's now suing them. But, of course, qualified immunity. So now the big players of parody are trying to get together and be like, hey, we could easily fall victim to this. They pointed out many stories that they had posted in the past that would have fallen under this same violation. So
maybe are we going to reach a world where like on an about page for anything, there's going to have to be a disclaimer that's like, this is parody.
Well, people on Twitter constantly get caught by both of those sides.
Yeah.
Even now, after all this time.
Yeah. The Onion, it surprises me that anyone doesn't know what the Onion is. It's been around for years.
I pull a lot of the nonsense stories from the Not the Onion subreddit.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've been caught by that before, but usually it's just like, oops, my bad. I should have looked at that source clear, but...
Everything I see on Twitter, if I immediately have a knee-jerk reaction to it, I have to stop and be like, wait, no.
Is this just bait? Am I being baited right now?
I have to make sure that this is real, and it's harder and harder.
Yeah.
Nearly impossible at this point. Now, this is the one I was referencing earlier because as they're giving away all that insane money, one of the rules that to get that money is that you have to put forth a plan. You have to have a director. You have to come up with like a 10-year plan. You got to really, this is government work. You got to do a lot of documentation.
A lot of RFP.
So, of course, most states weren't ready for that.
New hot job, state high-speed internet network director. I like this picture they picked. This is a good little stock photo. It's a composer.
That's Ada Amar from Axios.
It's nice.
In-house. Nice work, Ada. So, yeah, because you have to go through all that and the people in charge don't know how to do that, they immediately are scrambling to hire somebody who does so they can get that sweet, sweet government money.
I hope that all the money doesn't go to paying that new director position in each state, but...
No, it won't. They won't pay them that much. Unless they just literally can't find anybody.
Yeah.
They'll hire a lot of people who don't know what they're doing.
Well, that's any job.
Especially, it's big in the tech world.
Yeah.
Well, we got a new law about job postings online. And the big companies, oh boy, are they pissed about this.
Pay transparency shakeup could mean salary pushback. This is so when people make a listing for a job online, there has to be a salary range included, which I think is a positive update. Because why would you waste why would anyone waste their time?
Well, that's what they want.
Yeah.
They want to be able to sift through a big list of people wasting their time and pick the best. But
then they do the interview. You go through the whole interview process. And they're like, oh, you're a great fit. Here's what we start you at. And the person's like, well, I can't do that because it's too low.
But they're fine with that. That's
such a waste of time.
It's your time, yeah.
It's a waste of their time too. That's another week or two where that position's not being filled.
But if they could save $10,000 a year,
yeah,
it's totally worth it. So, if there's what this means is if I already have that job, and I see a posting for another person doing the same job at the same company, I'd be like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
You're not paying me that. So already some companies have started putting wide range. They'll put a salary up there. It's like $30,000 to $120,000.
That's such a huge, yeah. One of those is almost the poverty level. And then the other one's very comfortable.
So,
I think California already did this and it helped a little bit. But again, yeah, you mentioned the wide range started coming up.
There's a lot of loopholes. There always is.
And it's a step in the right direction, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of anything bad that could come from that.
Yeah.
Hong Kong, they have decided to open up a bit more and give a little more freedom.
Hong Kong to explore legalizing retail crypto trades in reversal of previous proposal. I guess they want to remain a big trade hub, is what this article was saying.
Not the best timing. I feel like the crypto craze has really, it's smoldering a bit in the financial collapse. But maybe it could rebound. And if all of the Hong Kong people invest in it now and it comes back up, it could be huge for them. I don't have the confidence in it.
No.
China is also getting an upgrade to their submarines, which could be a bad news for the rest of the world in terms of World War III.
China, lithium batteries may soon power world's largest fleet of submarines. I thought you maybe included this just because you thought it was a battery tech story where it was...
No, I think they're really going to do this. I mean, the lithium batteries have been proven enough that, you know, we're sure that those do what they're supposed to do. However, they also burst into flame from time to time. And on a submarine...
That's not a big deal.
I mean, a lithium fire on a submarine is going to be a big problem.
It's not like you have limited oxygen in that environment. It'll be fine.
You know, I would say a 10-minute lithium fire on a submarine would be a catastrophic event. You think they'll have a lot of sand to... I guess you could flood it with seawater, but then how are you going to get back up? What are the emergency backup on a submarine? Some of you probably know that. Maybe
I don't know a lot
Chinese
about
submarine.
submarines.
Well, these are Chinese submarines as well, so probably not quite the same.
We did that story a long time ago, and by a long time you mean like 6 months ago, where it was that guy. It was a World of Tanks forum, and people were like, "This Chinese tank isn't right," and the guy was like, "No, it is," and he like uploaded.
It happened twice. There was a German guy too. You got to win online arguments.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I have access to these classified documents. Let me show you.
Also, it says conventional submarines, which I guess are non-nuclear.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything about submarines really.
I know they go underwater.
Me too. There was a picture in that article that was like artist rendering. I was like, we can't find a real picture of a submarine, but I guess
it's
not.
top secret.
Yeah.
And India, of course, they've got that horrific biometric database, and
That gets hacked all the time.
yeah, it's terrible. And there's some of the behind the scenes stuff there is really disturbing in terms of the rest of the world. You should look at the son-in-law of the man who created Adhar or whatever it's called. Very surprising where he works. Anyway, they're going to go one step further.
India's central bank to start pilot of digital rupee on November 1st.
I don't like it. I think this is a bad idea. The Indian people also do not seem to be adopting it or wanting it. If you remember, they tried a couple of other things here, and the Indian people were just like, yeah, I don't really care about that.
I feel like a lot of governments have been trying to do this and nobody's interested in it.
Yeah. Also, India hates cryptocurrency. They will not allow cryptocurrencies, presumably because they knew this was coming all along.
They wanted to make their own, yeah.
And we've learned that, we saw the big conflict with India in terms of social media. What's the name of that? The Wire. They have The Wire, who at first they said that there was political control of social media. Then they retracted it. It was a big thing. It seems like they are just going to nip that at the bud.
India sets up panel with veto power over social media content moderation. I know this is not the point of the article, but I was looking at this image and I was immediately struck by how beautiful and colorful this garden was. And I was like, the US gardens, we would never. Look at all those beautiful colors. Bright flowers.
We got the White House Rose Garden. That's nice.
Yeah, but it's all roses. It's a monoculture. Look at all those different plants. And not the point of the article at all.
Maybe you should try and that should be your thing. You want to make
the White House pollinator garden for the bees.
How great would it be if the entire White House grounds was just filled with bees?
Oh, I love that. You have a foreign ambassador over and you're like, well, let's go step out to the garden. It's like, oh, we can't right now. It's bee season.
They're constantly doing press conferences and swatting at them. But it's illegal. It's illegal to hurt a White House bee.
Yeah.
Man, how great would it be if, because you know how every first lady has her thing?
Yeah.
That could be your thing as the first lady.
Yeah. The pollinator. I could be the president and I just turn all of DC into a pollinator garden.
Well, the president doesn't do that.
The president could.
busy with other stuff. It's got to be the first lady.
Let's ignore World War III and save the bees.
I mean, might as well.
That's a change in the policy.
Anyway, they are saying that when this law goes into effect, we're not going to have this argument anymore because we just shut down whatever we want. And you're going to have to deal with that. And the EU is, they went through a checklist of things Apple hates and said, we want all of these.
Oh, yeah. I can't hardly read this. It's too far away.
New EU law can force Apple to allow other app stores. They don't like that. Sideloading. Oh my God. Security risk. And iMessage interoperability. Oh my God. Will that drive them crazy?
How will we get people to buy an iPhone if they don't have the different color bubble?
And how will we get them to buy overpriced apps if they could get free alternatives somewhere else?
I'm amazed that people buy apps at all, but.
So, yeah, they're saying that we're tired of fooling around with this. If you want to do business in the EU, you're going to have to open it up. I imagine the Apple lawyers are working furiously right now.
Prepare the bribes.
There's are they in Cupertino? Is that where Apple is?
I'm not sure.
Yeah. Every Walmart and like department store in the whole state, you can't find a duffel bag. They're all sold out.
We got to send duffel bags of cash.
Also, the little
each EU nation.
The little paper straps that you put on money bundles.
Oh yeah,
Can't
all
find
gone.
them. All gone. Sold out for months. And Europe is also. This is not the European government, although the European government does seem a little bit open to this. But they're saying it's the telecommunication companies, and they're saying, "Hey guys, now I don't think the monopoly problem is as bad over there."
Probably not, but if you're European, let us know.
But our telcos have also made this argument. Now over here, this is a really dumb argument because it's like, dude, you've got a monopoly. Mm-hmm. Like, how much better could it be for you? Over there, I think there's a little more competition, but this still seems silly.
U.S. tech giants face pressure from Europe's telcos to pay for building the internet. Because they use more of the bandwidth, is the argument.
A wild statistic here. The big Amazon, Netflix, Facebook account for, I think it was 56% of all internet traffic.
That's so, I mean, I understand it because obviously that's just the world we live in now, but that's so sort of depressing when you think about it in the wider view that all of our traffic has been reduced to like 5 sites.
My browsing habits are not like that. Yeah, here we go. Meta, Alphabet, Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, and Netflix. That's 56%. 6 companies, 56% of the internet in the European Union.
Wow.
That is wild. But here's the thing about it. If those companies didn't exist, if those services weren't out there, would people use the internet as much?
That's also a good point.
I mean, it's like if you had a toll road and there was a mall on that toll road, you want people to come to the mall.
Right.
Because that's your business model. Yeah. Anyway, that sucks. And if it happens, the cost will be passed along to you, Euro citizens. So don't think it's like, yeah, stick it to those evil tech companies. They're just going to raise their prices.
Yeah. Which they just keep, I mean, we'll probably do a story about Netflix later, but like everyone keeps raising their prices.
Yeah, it's inflation. It's tough.
I don't like it.
And Airbnb, they were looking at some really rough reporting requirements, but it looks like the EU didn't go very far on this one.
Exclusive. Airbnb faces light touch regulation under EU plan, sources.
So what they want to know is how many people are Airbnb.
Probably a lot.
Right now, you don't have to really tell them that much. But they want to know exactly how much it is to sort of measure, like, how is this affecting our hotels? You know,
how is it affecting regular housing? Because a lot of people in certain cities can't get regular apartments or houses because they've all been Airbnb'd out.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, it seems nice to not have the eye of Sauron looking at me while I vacation. But at the same time, Airbnb we've caught them so many times doing these horrible policies.
Well, right. And now it's so expensive at this point. You're not even saving money. And a lot of them have the same sort of surveillance things where they've got cameras on you and noise ordinances and like.
Now there's rules about that now, right? I think you can have them in the common area,
Yeah, but you can't have them in like bathrooms or anything
and you have
like
to
that.
tell everybody about it.
Yeah. So I had a friend who went on vacation, got an Airbnb, and there was a noise monitor outside the room. If you made too much noise past a certain hour, like the owner reserved the right to kick you out.
It is. Now, the other side of that coin is like wild parties.
Right. That was what that was for.
You definitely don't want wild parties at your home. And I mean, people are going to go absolutely wild at a party like that.
Yeah.
It's not even your house. Yeah. Yeah, I'll just take a dump in the bedroom. I'm drunk.
It's not my problem.
And moving on to some security, this is a sad one.
Yeah.
I can't imagine these people have a ton of extra money. I don't know what you're going to get out of them. Why do this?
ALMA observatory in Chile targeted by cyberattack. Yeah, this feels like it's the same thing as like when they attack hospitals. It's like, why? Why bother?
Well, the hospitals have money.
Yeah. Well, the patients don't. They usually just leak patient data.
Yeah. Well. Unfortunately, in the U.S. at least, our hospital systems are these giant conglomerates at this point. So it's kind of like, well, yeah, you can't extract money from them. They are evil. But like you say, it ultimately makes people suffer and possibly die. But here, we're just not going to learn about the space. And we need to learn about space.
Yeah, who doesn't want that?
Disgusting. Over in Slovakia, they're having a similar problem. But once again, now, of course, Parliament does have money, I guess, but they're probably not going to pay your ransom.
Votes in Slovakia's parliament suspended after alleged cybersecurity incident. My favorite quote from this article was something about like, they can't even use the cafeteria.
Right. Somehow the cafeteria is tied in to the internet in such a way they can't serve food. I guess they can't take payments.
Well, I'm assuming, so at least at my college, you had like the meal card. Maybe that's like tied to your ID somehow.
Maybe just one day, but it was for the lawmakers, right?
I'm imagining too, like when I heard the word cafeteria, I was imagining them. What do they eat? Do they have the little cartons of milk and like corn and pizza?
Well, you should look at what Congress gets.
Oh, I've never looked that up either.
They have a great kitchen. They have a full gym, fitness center, spa. They have haircuts, hairdresser on staff for all the Congress people.
What a waste.
Absolutely, that's disgusting.
So next to the White House pollinator garden, we'd also be cutting the hair staff under my presidency.
Yeah, just give them peanuts, right? Like while you're in session, we'll give you a pack of peanuts.
Well, I can understand having a cafeteria because if you're working, you might not want them to go off campus to go eat all the time. But like
DoorDash,
hairdressers,
you could do Uber Eats.
Well, it's a security risk. It probably would take forever for them to actually get in.
Oh, poor guys. How about they pack a lunch? They are servants.
They do. They do probably also have servants at their households.
Have Paul Pelosi whip up a little Lunchable, maybe a ham sandwich.
Has to eat like their constituents. McConnell's eating soup, beans, and cornbread every day. Vienna sausages during the breaks.
That'll be delicious, though. He doesn't deserve that. Well, you know what they could have? They could have some Ritz crackers. Ritz Cracker is owned by, you guessed it, a giant conglomerate. Mondelez International, which owns a ton of stuff. And Mondelez had a little ransomware attack. But the good news was they had insurance. The bad news?
Ritz Cracker giant settles bust up with insurer over 100 million plus NotPetya cleanup. So this was interesting because they were arguing that it was an act of war.
Which we did uncover that NotPetya was Russian.
Right.
Or at least
Russian military.
A lot of people are claiming that. And the insurance company was like, well, this is an act of war. That is force majeure. We don't pay out on that. So then a lawsuit happened. Now it's being settled, but we don't get to know
the details at all.
Non-disclosure settlement. So the question is, the next time this happens, the next insurance company is going to say the same thing.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes why do we even have insurance? Because it's such a pain in the butt to get them to pay up for anything.
Because if you don't have it,
you're ultimately
broken
screwed
and destroyed.
Yeah.
And in some cases, you don't have a choice, like if you're driving.
Like car insurance, yeah.
And unfortunately, we have another story about Photoshop in the business section. I believe that the Photoshop story sparked a lot of interest in this software, and someone was opportunistic and evil.
Google ad for GIMP.org served info stealing malware via lookalike site. This was really clever how they did it too.
So it's the old Google ad. If you search for GIMP, it comes right at the top. It links you to GIMP.org, but wait, it doesn't really.
Yeah, it actually takes you, it was like gimpling.org or something like that. But it was designed to look exactly like the GIMP site.
It's just two eyes.
Yeah.
And that was malware. It would download a setup file, setup.exe, and that would set up some malware for you.
I guess the way Google Ads is set up, you can have the two URLs. One is like the base URL and one is the actual landing page you want the ad to take people to. So the way that they did it was show the person gimp.org, but actually take them to this landing page, but it wasn't really a landing page.
Why? Why is it like that?
So they can run promotions and advertising, I suppose.
That's not the way we should do that.
I would think that they would make it so it has to be like it has to be the same domain, but must not be.
Maybe now it will be.
Yeah.
But also that just shows that nobody is, I mean, we know that the ad system is completely automated.
Yeah.
But nobody is checking up on any of that. That's just sad.
Do you think that was brought up at all in the engineering talks about when they set that system up? Like, hey, we should probably set it up so it's the same URL, like same domain. And it's like, no. Marketing people won't like that.
That probably, yeah, we have heard, I can't remember what, I think it was Facebook. Oh yeah, when Facebook was on trial, they were talking to, or when they were being questioned by Congress, some guy was like, I want to know exactly what happens when someone buys advertising. Walk me through the entire process. And the engineer was like, once it goes into the ad department, I can't touch it or see it or do anything.
Did they not have anyone from the ad department there?
No, the ad department was like a lockbox that nobody got to look into. They had like special privileges and stuff.
They had special cafeteria, hairdressers.
Probably.
Yeah.
So the ad department does seem to make ultimately the final decisions because that's where the money comes in, I think. And we've learned just how big our ransomware problem was, at least in 2021.
It's a huge number. U.S. banks processed roughly $1.2 billion with a B in ransomware payments in 2021, according to federal report.
That's a lot. That was 3 times more than 2020.
Ooh.
So that's some heavy growth.
In 2020, we were all locked down. They had all the time in the world.
I think the ransomware did pick up during 2021, though, because of that.
Yeah.
Right? Like it was more, they weren't getting money through the traditional organized crime means.
Yeah, everything, everyone was kind of in these trying times.
Plus, working from home made phishing a lot easier, a lot harder to catch that kind of thing. Unfortunate. Now we know about Amazon and their wrist tracker tool. It makes sure that you're picking and running, and most importantly, not peeing. Critical.
Never peeing.
Do not pee during your work shift. And people hate that thing. And some other businesses, they saw that and they were like, yes.
Big meat companies want to use smartwatches to track workers' every move. They need to have an update to the jungle where this is incorporated into the narrative.
Yeah, well, we certainly don't want to know what's going on in those packing plants. I don't want to know. I just want my delicious meats. But yeah, this thing is going to, it tracks like not only your movement, but the speed and
efficiency with which you process the meat.
How fast you move. And so there's, obviously if you're lackluster, if you're just, barely reaching out to throw the meat, then they're going to be like, listen, you got to step that up. They also talk about how repetitive stress injuries are overwhelming in the meat business because you're literally standing on an assembly line doing one thing.
Yeah, that's true. Probably any factory, I would think.
But yeah, I mean, we had all those scares where the meat plants shut down during the thing, and that had a big effect almost immediately.
Yeah.
So. Well,
there's also bird influenza going around again. I think in both Europe and the U.S.
And regular influenza. We also learned that because of the whole ICE debate, that a lot of meat company places are staffed by illegal aliens. And they'll regularly sweep them up and take like half the working staff. So I guess that makes them easier to replace. It's disgusting. This one's a little bit spicy. I don't know if did they cover I read this somewhere else. Did they cover his tweets?
Yeah, there's a tweet in there. There's a link to
There
it.
was many, many tweets. He did the whole John McAfee thing.
Early maker DAO, developer and stablecoin pioneer found dead in Puerto Rico. He was found washed up on the beach in an area that is known for riptides, but he had a series of tweets right before he passed that were kind of weird and unhinged, saying that he was going to be killed.
By the CIA.
Right.
And that he had some information that he was trying to get out, and that was being stopped by a variety of ways, and that if he turned up dead, it was not by his own hand. He said that several times. Then he turned up dead.
Yeah. I mean, it looks suspicious, but also his tweet kind of read a little bit unhinged.
Yeah, a lot of these guys are maybe atypical mental states.
Like, it just read, the one I saw, it was just like a long paragraph and there was like no periods. It's just a giant run-on sentence.
But if someone was trying to kill me and I was quickly trying to get that information out, maybe I would do the same thing.
You got to proofread. It's important. Literacy is important in this country.
The CIA agent was behind you. He's like twisting on the silencer and you're like,
No,
hang on.
I have to use a semicolon.
Would you use an Oxford comma here? I can't decide.
And the guy's like, he grabs his like MLA style manual. Let's find out.
All right. That's, what was it? Business and security. Mm-hmm. And thank you, Techie Satva, for the thoughtful nuts. Wolfie's nuts. I don't know if I've ever seen Wolfie's nuts in any stores. Have you?
No, I didn't open the package, the initial package. I don't know if there's any other note. I think it was just this one. So I don't know anything else about it. We'll have to look it up.
We'll learn more about that and get back to you.
All right.
And we'll see you tomorrow when we talk about business and social media.